There's something hidden all around us. It's in our medicine, our electronics, even the clothes we wear. It's this incredible technology that makes everything work better, last longer, and perform in ways we never thought possible. But what if the very thing that makes it so powerful is also its greatest danger? Let's dive into this invisible world.
Okay, so here's a riddle for you. What do sunscreen, socks, and a volcano all have in common? I know, it sounds like the setup for a really bad joke, but the answer isn't a punchline. It's a technology that's way smaller and a whole lot more common than you probably think.
The answer is nanoparticles. These are the tiny, invisible ingredients that are absolutely revolutionizing entire industries. It's time we really understood what they are and, maybe more importantly, what they're actually doing out there in the world. And what's wild is just how common they are. Seriously? This isn't some far-off science fiction concept. It's here, right now. Nanoparticles are being used in medicine to deliver drugs with pinpoint accuracy, in sunscreen so it blocks UV rays without making you look like a ghost, and even in our clothes to make them stain-resistant. This stuff is everywhere, all because of its incredibly unique and powerful properties.
And you knew there was a but coming, right? Here's the twist. The exact same properties that make these particles so incredibly useful also make them a potential threat. We're talking about an emerging pollutant that we're only just beginning to understand. It is the perfect example of a double-edged sword.
So what are we actually talking about here? Well, a nanoparticle is basically any particle that measures between 1 and 100 nanometers. And that scale, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around just how small that is.
Let's try to put it into perspective. A single strand of human hair, that's about 80,000 to 100,000 nanometers wide. So we are talking about something that is thousands and thousands of times smaller. It's just mind-bogglingly tiny.
And this is the crucial point. Their microscopic size lets them do things larger particles just can't. Things like passing right through biological membranes and getting inside a living cell. Now that's an incredible advantage if you're trying to deliver medicine right to a cancer cell, but it becomes a huge problem when these particles end up where they don't belong.
Now, it's really important to know that not all nanoparticles are created equal. Nature makes them all the time. That's the volcano part of our riddle, right? Volcanic ash is full of them. But our focus here is on the engineered nanoparticles, or ENPs. These are the ones we're intentionally manufacturing for specific jobs, like the silver nanoparticles that make socks antibacterial, or the titanium dioxide in your sunscreen.
So what happens when these engineered particles, designed so carefully in a lab, escape into the natural world? Well, that's when a ripple effect begins, and it starts, almost always, in our water.
So how does this even happen? Every time we wash our face, do our laundry, or use certain fertilizers on farms, these nanoparticles get washed down the drain. They also get into our water from industrial manufacturing. Basically, our everyday activities have created a direct pipeline from our homes and factories straight into our lakes, rivers, and oceans.
And once they're in the water, their journey is far from over. Because they're so small and so reactive, they don't just sit there. They immediately start interacting with their new environment in all sorts of complex ways. And those interactions, they can be devastating. At the microscopic level, they can damage cell walls and cause what's called oxidative stress. You can think of it like a kind of cellular-level rust, which is really harmful and can even lead to DNA damage. On a bigger scale, they can harm the beneficial bacteria that are crucial for a healthy ecosystem. And maybe the most worrying part, they build up in small organisms and then get passed up the food chain, becoming more and more concentrated at every single step.
Yeah, the research puts it pretty bluntly. These particles aren't just passive bystanders. They are active agents that can cause real toxicity, threatening the stability of entire ecosystems from the very bottom up.
But this isn't just a story about fish and algae in some far-off river. That ripple effect we talked about, eventually it reaches us.
I mean, think about it. We rely on those same water sources. We sit at the top of that food chain, so we are inevitably exposed to these nanoparticles through the water we drink and the food we eat. And while the long-term risks are still being studied, the concern is that they could cause the same kinds of cellular damage and inflammation in us that we're seeing in aquatic life.
Okay, so the problem is clearly complex, but it's not hopeless. The key is to move from just being aware of the issue to taking action. So, how do we manage a threat that's literally microscopic?
Well, there's a pretty clear 5-step strategy for tackling this. First, you control it at the source. That means regulating production and really pushing to find safer alternatives. Second, you have to catch what escapes. Upgrade our wastewater treatment with advanced filters that can actually grab these particles. Third, you can't manage what you don't measure, so constant environmental monitoring is absolutely key. Fourth, we've got to be proactive and assess the risks of these materials before they hit the market. And finally, all of this has to be backed by clear, strong policies that manage a nanoparticle's entire life cycle, from the moment it's created to the day it's disposed of.
At the end of the day, nanotechnology holds incredible promise. It can help us solve some of the biggest challenges we face. But innovation without foresight is a really dangerous game. So the real question isn't just, can we create these powerful new materials? It's, should we? And how do we ensure that the better future we're building is also a safe one?